And we are, excuse me, and we are live for Thursday night football. It's gonna be a fun one. We got the Tennessee Titans in Green Bay tonight. Green Bay, slight favorites tonight, 3.5 point home favorites against the Tennessee Titans. The Green Bay Packers coming off one of their best games of the season. This feels like yet another get right spot for the Packers. Going to be breaking down my thoughts on the game, my thoughts on the fantasy players in this game, my thoughts on the fantasy players in general this week. The Cowboys coming off a thrilling 31-28 OT win against the Cowboys. Tony Pollard looked pretty good in that game. You got to feel pretty good about Derrick Henry tonight. First cold game for Derrick Henry tonight. It's going to feel like 15 degrees in Green Bay tonight. Going to be a cold one. That definitely bodes well for Derrick Henry. Both of these teams are run-first teams too, so it could be a little less exciting of a game than I'm hoping for. But this is the real question. The real question that we all want answered tonight is Christian Watson for real? Was last week a flash in the pan for Christian Watson, a moment in the sun for Christian Watson, or was it the beginning of something big for Christian Watson? The Packers have been desperately needing a receiver to step up in this offense. It had been Allen Lazard. It had been Romeo Doubs before his injury. Now it looks like it might be Christian Watson. And I'm certainly in the camp right now that I do think Christian Watson is going to be the guy, or has the best chance, has the highest ceiling of these Packers receivers. And the reason I'm more bullish, I feel like, than most on Christian Watson heading into this game is the peripheral numbers for Christian Watson. They were good last week, guys. They were the best they've been. I know that what people are really excited about was his 32 fantasy points because he scored 3 touchdowns and he had 107 yards. But what I was excited about was he had the highest snap share of his season, 85% snap share for Christian Watson. He ran the highest amount of routes in a game, percentage of routes in a game that he's run. And all of that in a game where Aaron Rodgers only threw the ball 20 times. And we know there's going to be games where Aaron Rodgers throws the ball much more than 20 times. I'm hoping this is one of those games because the Tennessee Titans secondary has not been good this season, guys. That's why I do think Christian Watson and Allen Lazard are must starts. Again, I'm more excited about Christian Watson because Christian Watson has the physical traits that no other receiver has in this offense and that most players in the NFL don't have. Christian Watson is a 99th percentile size-adjusted athlete to the likes of a Calvin Johnson. Like that is his closest comp when you're looking at his athletic profile. 6'4", 208 pounds, runs a 4.3 40. So yeah, I'm excited for Christian Watson. I would start Christian Watson tonight if I had him in fantasy. Unfortunately, I didn't get him on most of my waiver wire bids. But I am playing Christian Watson over Allen Lazard. I'm playing Christian Watson over. I think I'm playing him over George Pickens. I think I'm playing him over Jamal Williams too. I had Jamal Williams as a must bench last week. That was an L because he did end up scoring and he did end up leading the backfield in touches again. But I still have the same sentiment about Jamal Williams heading into this week. I think he's a pretty sketchy start in fantasy with DeAndre Swift getting healthier. DeAndre Swift now practicing fully. DeAndre Swift very clearly the most talented back in that backfield still. George Pickens had less targets than Christian Watson last week, by the way, despite Aaron Rodgers only throwing the ball 20 times. So yeah, I do want to be starting Christian Watson. I don't really want to be starting A.J. Dillon. As a Bears fan, we hoping Titans win, and I get to continue calling the Packers washed. Yeah, honestly, Yarjma, I get that as a Bears fan. I really don't expect it. I don't expect it tonight. I really think this is going to be a Packers win. I am taking the Packers against the spread tonight, 3.5 point spread. I am taking the Packers at home. I am definitely nervous about Derrick Henry in a cold game. The Packers defense has been pretty run funnel this season. They are a run funnel defense. The Packers secondary has been really strong. That's why I don't think Treylon Burks is a must start. I don't think any of the Titans receivers are must starts, though I am also getting a little excited for Treylon Burks, who's back. He got 6 targets last week, despite only playing about half the snaps. I do think he's going to play more tonight. It seemed like he escaped that game with no injuries. But yeah, the Packers' run defense hasn't been good this season, guys. They dealt with all sorts of injuries on the defense. Tony Pollard ripped off 115 yards and a touchdown last week. We saw the week before that, Jamal Williams ripped off 81 yards. Week 6, Breece Hall torched them for 116 yards and a touchdown. We saw Saquon Barkley rip off 100 yards and 2 TDs. He caught a receiving touchdown, I think, in that game too. We had David Montgomery earlier in the season rip off 122. They've allowed it's a lot of big running back performances. And now they go up against King Henry, who could easily clear 25 plus carries in this game. No running back has had more than 24 carries against the Packers this season. They have allowed the 12th most fantasy points per game to running back. So, yeah, if you have Derrick Henry, obviously you're starting him. But, yeah, you got to feel really good about D. Henry tonight. I think his over-unders are pretty ludicrous tonight as well, per usual. Yeah, his over-unders 103.5 rushing yards for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, by the way, the only running back in NFL history to have 3 straight seasons averaging over 100 yards per game. And he's doing it for a 4th straight season right now this year. Derrick Henry is continued to make history year after year. A really clearly Hall of Fame level running back. And I really think there's an argument that he's the best runner of all time. And I don't say that lightly, but again, 4 straight years, guys, 4 straight years that Derrick Henry has averaged over 100 rushing yards per game, especially in today's, pass-heavy NFL offenses. I mean, just so crazy. So crazy. We are really witnessing some truly greatness, some true greatness with Derrick Henry. Aaron Jones, Mondre, or Dameon Pierce. Not a Thursday night question, Liam, but I would go, I think, it is a Thursday night question. Sorry to bash you like that when I'm just wrong. Aaron Jones, I would play, I think, over Mondre, over Pierce. Let me pull this up, though. I do think we have Mondre ranked really high. We still don't know for sure. Yeah, we have both of them ranked ahead of Aaron Jones in the WalterPicks app. Let me pull up the Texans matchup again this week. I actually think it might be decent. No, it's not great. It's not great against the Commanders, but obviously Dameon Pierce has been just getting so much volume. If this is a PPR league, I would be okay going Mondre. I do think I would play Aaron Jones personally over Dameon Pierce, though. Had to stream Tannehill and Brady's bye. How screwed am I? Yeah, you're totally screwed. I would not stream Tannehill. I would look for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is actually top 10 play this week. I would not be trying to stream Tannehill this week. I think you are really setting yourself up for a sad Thursday night if you're going with Tannehill. Is Weatherman Sam active for tonight? Yeah, Weatherman Sam is active for tonight. Putting my Weatherman Sam hat on really quick. I do think the weather will impact this game in a good way, though. It's going to be very, very cold. It's going to feel like 15 degrees in this game. This is the first real cold game for Derrick Henry. We know Derrick Henry just thrives in the cold. I mean, tackling Derrick Henry is as hard as it gets already. And then you add in that it feels like ice outside, and all of a sudden it gets much harder. Christian Watson, Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore, or Mike Williams. Yeah, I'm not starting Christian Watson in this situation. I am starting Kadarius Toney. I'm very excited about Kadarius Toney. I was saying when he got traded to the Chiefs, it felt like to me people had just all of a sudden forgotten how good Kadarius Toney actually is when he's on the field. And obviously we didn't know for sure we'd ever really see him on the field. He was out the entire season up to that point, basically with multiple hamstring injuries. But Kadarius Toney looks like the best wide receiver for the Chiefs. He looks like the most talented wide receiver for a Patrick Mahomes-led offense. Mecole Hardman now on IR. So he has the entire Mecole Hardman role in the backfield. He's getting carries. He had 2 carries, 33 yards last week. And he gets the Chargers in what should be a high-scoring game. I would be going Kadarius Toney. It's really tough to trust Mike Williams or Keenan Allen this week. Obviously, we don't know their injury statuses yet. Bills game got moved to Lions Stadium, possible 6 feet of snow. Yeah, I was really upset about that, Yash, but I was excited for Weatherman Sam to come out on Sunday morning and talk about that snow. Apparently, though, what I did read today was actually that snow was like totally overblown. Watson or Olave, you got to go Olave over Watson. I'm personally going Watson over Lazard. Lazard's prop line is a little bit higher than Watson, so he is projected a little bit more than Watson tonight. I just like Watson's ceiling more. Watson, to me, his athletic profile gives him a much higher ceiling than Allen Lazard. Sam, I need to win bad. Start one. Christian Watson, Rondale Moore, Deontay Foreman, Kadarius Toney. Yeah, I would start Kadarius Toney over Christian Watson. I would do that. There's definitely some risk with Christian Watson in this game, where isn't that in the Chiefs game. Like the Packers want to be a run-first team. The Titans are a run-first team. So we got 2 potentially run-first teams against each other. That might not bode well for scoring and for receivers in this game. And that's obviously not going to be the case in the Chiefs game. Even if the Chiefs are up by 20 points, they're going to keep throwing against the Chargers. Let's pull up this one, bro. I have Tariq, Tua, Godwin, Etienne on bye, and Juju is hurt in one of my leagues. Pick 3, Lazard, Deontay, Johnson, Cooks, Van Jefferson, DJ Moore. Yeah, these are honestly pretty solid backup options. I would go with Lazard, Deontay, and DJ Moore. I would bench Van Jefferson and Cooks. I know there's a little bit of excitement with Van Jefferson with Cooper Kupp out, but I'm not really fully buying that. I'm actually very bullish on Deontay Johnson rest of season. Olave or Boyd? I would go Olave over Boyd. I'm not benching Olave really ever. I'm not doing that. He's number 2 in air yards in the NFL. He's top 15 in basically every volume metric. Walter, this is urgent. Lazard or Sutton at flex. Classic. We got the classic mistake here in the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, by the way. A comment section in YouTube is a little bit easier to digest, but I will answer comments in both. My name is not Walter. My name is Sam. It's a classic mistake. Don't worry about it. Walter is the AI algorithm I helped build that powers the WalterPicks app, which, by the way, the WalterPicks app could answer every single one of these start-sit questions or help you answer every single one of these start-sit questions in the chat right now. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. I will try to get to as many as I can. But I also did spend the last 3 years of my life building this app that's completely free to download. And you can do as many start-sit comparisons as you want for free. There are some premium subscriptions in the app. We actually have a Black Friday sale running right now, though. In the app, you hit the Go Premium button. You can get up to 33% off the WalterPicks subscription as well, which already was an absolute steal, in my opinion. But yeah, all these start-sit questions, they can be answered in the WalterPicks app. The link to the WalterPicks app in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description, or just look up WalterPicks on whatever app store you are using. All right, Burks or Palmer? I personally would go Palmer. So Jackson, the Chargers, projecting the Chargers, man, it gives me such a headache because, first of all, it's the Sunday night game. So we aren't going to know until closer to that game. We're not going to know at 1 o'clock on Sunday, the earlier window, if Keenan Allen, if Mike Williams are playing, which is brutal because if they both play, Josh Palmer cannot be started. But if they don't play, then Palmer definitely needs to be started against the Chiefs. I honestly would probably hold out hope for Josh Palmer over Treylon Burks. I like Treylon Burks. I want to start Treylon Burks. I was actually thinking about Treylon Burks over Keenan Allen in one of my leagues because I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play. But Treylon Burks has a really low floor in this game. I mean, could be really run heavy. Packers secondary has been good. So I think there's good enough reason to just bench Treylon Burks tonight. That's why I have him as a fringe start because I do think there's some upside there, but the floor is definitely really low with Treylon Burks. His over-under tonight is 34.5 receiving yards. I'd rather just go take that. I do like that line, by the way, but I would rather just take the Treylon Burks prop rather than start him in fantasy because, again, his floor is really low. Watson or Pittman? Yeah, you got to start Pittman over Watson. How do we feel Benjamin coming to Houston affects Dameon Pierce? I don't think it's going to affect him that much. But that's just my guess. It's anyone's best guess, right? I mean, Dameon Pierce is, because we haven't seen obviously play for the Texans, but Dameon Pierce is still going to be the lead back in that backfield. I still think he sees 20-plus touches a game. So I still have him as RB1 rest of the season, but definitely something to monitor because they did go out and sign Benjamin, so that they definitely could use him. Higbee or Kmet? I'd go Higbee over Kmet. Definitely I'm not buying into the Kmet hype. Paris Campbell or Pickens? I would still go Pickens over Paris Campbell. Watson or DJ Moore? That one's close, man. I know DJ Moore. It's not easy to bench DJ Moore for Christian Watson. I feel like if I pull this up here, let me pull this up really quickly. Yeah, you got to go DJ Moore. You got to go DJ Moore over Christian Watson. Here's some guys I would play Christian Watson over. Because there is sort of a tier here. I would personally play him over George Pickens. I would play him over Josh Palmer. I'd play him over Scourneck. I know some people are scraping Scourneck off the waiver wire. I would definitely play Christian Watson over him. I'd play him over Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'd play him over Paris Campbell. I would play him over Allen Robinson. I'd play him over Wan'Dale Robinson, who got he's questionable now. He might not even play. I'd play him over Drake London. I'd play him over Curtis Samuel. This is Christian Watson I'm talking about. I'd honestly play him over Keenan Allen and Mike Williams because we just don't know if those guys are going to play or not. I would play both those guys over Christian Watson if we knew they were going to play, but we don't know Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are going to play. There's some guys I would start Christian Watson over. I do want to start Christian Watson. There are a lot of bye weeks this week, so you definitely can in a lot of spots start Christian Watson. Christian Watson or Gabe Davis. That one's pretty close. I would probably go Gabe Davis, though, still there over Christian Watson. Because obviously, you're playing Christian Watson for the ceiling. He has a floor, but Gabe Davis is the prototypical ceiling play at wide receiver. So I think I would still go Gabe Davis over Christian Watson as well. Is Andrews playing? Seeing someone saying that. I don't know for sure if Andrews is going to play yet, but I do think he's going to play. I do think he's going to play. It's not a for sure thing though. It's not a for sure thing with Andrews. He could definitely sit out another week, but my hunch is that Mark Andrews is playing. I think he has had some positive reports today and in practice. Start Boyd or Tony. I want to start both these guys. I really like Boyd's floor. I mean, Boyd is one of the safest floor wide receivers, and that has a lot of value. He's like he's like a Jacoby Myers type player for fantasy right now, and that's really, really valuable. He's going to go over 10 points almost definitely, and he has an amazing matchup against the Steelers. Honestly, as much as I do really like Tony's ceiling, especially with Hardman out, Juju likely not going to play, I still think Boyd is probably the move. I think Boyd is really tough to bench right now. Hey, Sam, hope you're having a good night. Thanks, man. Hope all of you are having a good night as well. It's going to be a fantastic night. I'm excited for this game, man. I'm telling you, this is going to be an exciting game. We got Derrick Henry in the cold. We got Christian Watson trying to silence the haters. We have Aaron Rodgers trying to get his first back-to-back wins of the season, I believe. Pick 2, Pollard, Gus, Pacheco, Jalen Warren. I got to admit, I am very excited about Isaiah Pacheco. After last week, he had 16 carries, man. I mean, by far the most he's had in a game. And then this week he gets the Chargers, and the Chargers have been so bad again, second straight year. They added so much to that defense in the offseason, and then still the run defense is so horribly atrocious. They've allowed the second most fantasy points per game to running backs this season. I think they're allowing the second most yards per carry to running backs this season. Now we get Isaiah Pacheco on Sunday night. I do think I would go Pacheco and Pollard here over Gus Edwards and Jalen Warren. Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Watson, pick 2. Yeah, so for me personally, if you're thinking about Mike Williams, if you're thinking about Keenan Allen, I just saw this Adam Schefter report too, that Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and DeAndre Carter, they all were limited in practice today. I'm playing Christian Watson over Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I'm not holding out hope for both those guys if I have a good option like Christian Watson. I'm in a situation in one of my leagues. I have to decide between Treylon Burks and Keenan Allen. And that's enough for me to hold out hope for Keenan Allen. I think it's close, but it is enough for me to hold out some hope for Keenan Allen and pray that he plays. But yeah, if you have a good option like Christian Watson, I would play Watson over both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams with their uncertainty right now. Christian Watson or Jacoby Myers, definitely playing Jacoby Myers. You can't bench Jacoby Myers. Christian Watson or Brian Robinson. Robinson gets the Texans this week, man. That's definitely the quintessential ceiling floor question here. If you want to lock in 10 plus, you got to go with Brian Robinson. I would probably go with Brian Robinson in a head-to-head matchup. But Christian Watson has a much higher ceiling still, in my opinion. I would probably go B-Rob, though. The floor is really high. Do you think it's Rachaad White season? Yeah, it for sure is Rachaad White season. I mean, they literally started him last game. That really, to me, did send a pretty big signal about how they're feeling about their backfield. I don't think he's going to get, though, like 70, 80% of the backfield. It's still going to be close to 50%. So that does limit his floor and ceiling. But, yeah, he definitely is startable. Rachaad White's more of like a back-end RB2, though, than a high-end RB1 or anything. Is Kenyon Drake what is this question? Will Sully, how we doing in the TikTok live, man? I always see the comments that are like, answer. Bro, why haven't you answered? I always see those comments without actually seeing the question. Why start Lazard? Yeah, so this is a good matchup for both Allen Lazard and Christian Watson. I am personally starting Christian Watson over Allen Lazard, but I think they're both starts tonight. And Allen Lazard's prop line is admittedly higher than Christian Watson's. So Allen Lazard, by most people, is being projected just a little bit ahead of Christian Watson. 48.5 yards is the projection for Lazard tonight, 43.5 for Watson. But I think the ceiling for Watson is higher, which is why I would start him over Allen Lazard. And it is a good matchup for both of them. They both can be started tonight, I think, with some degree of confidence. The Tennessee Titans, let me pull this up, have really struggled in the secondary this season. We have Aaron Rodgers coming off one of his best games of the season. He only threw 20 passes last game. I think he could easily throw more than that in this game if the Titans are able to establish something offensively. But yeah, the Titans have allowed the third most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. They've been third worst against receivers this season. That is obviously good for Aaron Rodgers, for these pass catchers. I do feel excited for Christian Watson tonight. I'm pretty bullish on Christian Watson in general. I think that people are a little too quick to call last game a fluke. And the reason I'm excited about Christian Watson is a little different than why everyone else is excited about him. Everyone else is excited about Christian Watson because he scored 3 touchdowns last week and went over 100 yards. And obviously that's exciting. I'm excited, though, because his peripheral numbers were the best that they've been last week. He played 85% of the snaps. He ran the most route percentage, most routes per pass attempt that he's ran in a game. He was the most involved that he's been. That's why I'm excited. And I think that's easily going to continue tonight, again, in a good matchup for Christian Watson. So yeah, I'm excited for Christian Watson tonight. I would start him over Allen Lazard. I do think they are both starts, because the Titans secondary has not been good. So even if Aaron Rodgers throws the ball only 25 times, we could see some big days, I think, from Christian Watson, from Allen Lazard. And I do not fear Randall Cobb. You cannot make me fear Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb has had one good game this entire season. He has one game with over 4 catches. He's coming off an injury. Guys, Cobb has been washed for a while. And he also plays a much different role in the offense than Christian Watson and Allen Lazard. So I'm not letting Randall Cobb scare me off Allen Lazard or Christian Watson. Tony or Watson, I would lean towards Tony over Watson, though. Hey, Sam, sorry this is long. Do I trade Kamara and Gabe Davis for Terry and Stevenson? My current RBs are Walker, Barkley, and Kamara. Wow. If this is full PPR, yeah, I'm okay. I am okay with this. Kamara is better than Mondre rest of season in PPR leagues, but Mondre is really valuable still in PPR leagues. He's top 10, I think, in my opinion, rest of season. Ramondre Stevenson has the James White role. So even if Damien Harris comes back and takes half the carries, maybe even some of the goal line carries, Mondre is going to be a stud in PPR leagues. He's going to get 5+ targets a game, even with Damien Harris back and fully healthy. And I would definitely take Terry McLaurin over Gabe Davis. So I think it's fair. It's definitely close, though. Davis and Terry actually are probably pretty close in our projections, too. It's close. I do prefer Kamara over Stevenson, though. So you kind of are giving up the best player in the trade. Your team is stacked, by the way. Lazard or Sutton? I would go Sutton over Lazard. I'm very bullish on Sutton this week against the Raiders and just rest of the season in general. The Broncos have maybe the best rest of season schedule for their passing attack. Hope you're a good Sam. Christian Watson, Pickens, Sutton, Tony, choose 2 in PPR. Hope you're good too, man. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're all doing great and are excited for a good Thursday night game. I would definitely be playing Sutton here, and I think I would go Tony too. I'm not benching Tony this week. As much as I like Christian Watson's ceiling, Pickens has a ceiling for sure too. Kadarius Toney looks like the most talented receiver for the Patrick Mahomes-led offense, obviously after Travis Kelce, who plays pseudo receiver. But McCole Hardman already ruled out for the next 4 games. Juju likely going to miss this game. Tony's going to play the most snaps he's played in a game that should be really high scoring. You got to go with Kadarius Toney this week, guys. He's even going to get probably a few carries in this game against the horrible Chargers run defense. Hey, what's up, Sam? Quick question: full PPR, Tunyon or Everett? I'm fully off Gerald Everett. I've not been able to get excited about Gerald Everett this whole season, even despite all these injuries to the Chargers. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. We still haven't really seen a consistent performance from Gerald Everett. I personally would be going Tunyon over Gerald Everett. Watson or Boyd? I'm going Boyd over Watson for sure. You can't bench Tyler Boyd right now. Pacheco or Najee? Yeah, it's Pacheco. It's Pacheco over Najee. It's crazy to say that out loud, but it definitely is Pacheco over Najee this week. Najee or Christian Watson? Yep, I'd go Christian Watson there too. I'm not starting Najee. There's no ceiling for Najee Harris. There's just been no ceiling this whole season. I've been begging everyone to trade him for 11 weeks now, essentially. I traded Najee Harris, by the way, straight up after week 1. I traded Najee Harris straight up for A.J. Dillon, and that obviously hasn't panned out great, but neither has Najee Harris, so it was kind of the right move for the wrong player, I guess. I was definitely too high on A.J. Dillon, and we haven't talked at all about A.J. Dillon on this stream. I don't think he's a must-start, obviously. I don't think I've seen a single start sit yet with A.J. Dillon, and I need to win. Should I trade Devontae Adams and Jamal Williams for Kamara and Kirk? Isn't Kirk on his bye this week, though? Does that actually help you win? I don't know if that, I get that you need to win, but I don't know. I'm not convinced, Will Sully, that trade helps you win right now if Kirk is on bye, and I'm pretty sure he's on bye this week. Yeah, he is. So, yeah, I don't know if trading for Christian Kirk on his bye week is going to help you win now. Watson or Boyd? Yeah, I would go Boyd over Watson. I think I already answered that one in the YouTube live. But, yeah, again, A.J. Dillon, I'm still a huge fan. He might be my favorite non-Patriot NFL player in the league. Shout out Quadzilla. But from a fantasy football perspective, I can't in confidence tell you to start him. He's seeing 8 to 11 carries a game. The Titans' run defense has been pretty good, and he only has 1 touchdown this season. He has 4 goal line carries, only 1 touchdown this season. Tough to trust A.J. Dillon. He hasn't gone over 10 points since week 1. He has not gone over 10 points since week 1. Do I trade ETN for Kupp? I already have playoffs clinched. No. You should give up way less than ETN for Kupp. ETN is already looking like a league winner. Even if you already have playoffs clinched, I wouldn't do this trade. We don't know for sure Cooper Kupp is coming back this season. And there's definitely a chance Cooper Kupp just gets shut down, period, for the whole season. Let me walk you through a scenario where that could happen. We have the Rams really struggling already this season. The Super Bowl defending Los Angeles Rams. They're in 4th place in the NFC West. They are 3 games behind the Seahawks. They're not going to win the division. The Rams have, I think, let me pull this up. The Rams play the Saints this week, the Chiefs the next week, the Seahawks after that. They could lose all 3 of those games, or at least 2 of those 3 games could be losses for the Rams. And now they're sitting at like 3-10. Why would they bring Cooper Kupp back? Like, just let him rest the rest of the season, come back full strength next season. So that's definitely possible for the Rams and Cooper Kupp. I would definitely not trade Travis Etienne for Cooper Kupp right now. Lazard or McLaurin, I would go McLaurin over Lazard. Sam the man, Kyron Williams or A.J. Dillon. I would go A.J. Dillon over Kyron Williams. Traded for Etienne and had Jones. So who should I start? Yeah, I would go A.J. Dillon over Kyron Williams if you're struggling with the Travis Etienne buy. I'm not as high on him after last week. Let me pull up the numbers. I believe Darrell Henderson still led that backfield. Yeah, he played 28% of the snaps. He only had 1 carry. He did have 3 catches. He had 39 total yards. But yeah, I'm not feeling very excited about him. As excited as you could get for, waiver wire pickup. It was sort of how excited I was for Kyron Williams because I felt like he could step into the lead back role for the Rams. But the fact of the matter is the lead back role for the Rams hasn't even been a valuable position this whole season. Darrell Henderson has been that guy for most of the games, and he doesn't have a single game over 15 points. I don't think a single Rams running back has a game over 15 points this entire season. I mean, absolutely crazy how bad the Rams offensive line and offense has been. But yeah, I'm not at all high on Kyron Williams after his first game back. Deontay Johnson, Swift, Rondale, Toney, or Watson to the flex. For me, this is between Toney and Deontay Johnson. I really do like Deontay Johnson. The Bengals secondary is pretty banged up. Deontay Johnson has a really high floor. I like Toney a lot too, though, for sure. I'm not trusting Swift until we see him play a full workload. I don't love Rondale Moore as much as Toney or Deontay Johnson. I don't like Christian Watson as much as Toney or Deontay Johnson either. So I think it's between those 2 guys. I think Toney has a higher ceiling, but Deontay Johnson has the safest floor. Start Toney or A-Rob. I'm going Toney over A-Rob 1,000%. Even with Cooper Kupp out, I'm pretty nervous for A-Rob, and I'm trying to actively trade A-Rob where I have him now that Cooper Kupp is hurt because you might be able to get something for him. Tyler Algier or A.J. Dillon. Yeah, I'd go A.J. Dillon in this one, I think. Let me pull up the Algier numbers though really quickly before I submit that answer for sure. And yeah, Tyler Algier. He did play 48% of the snaps last week, but 8 carries, 3 catches for 3 total yards for Algier, by far his worst game of the season. He probably will do much better than that this week. But yeah, I would go A.J. Dillon over Algier. I do think A.J. Dillon should outtouch Tyler Algier. Watson, McLaurin, Debo start 2. Yeah, the Debo stuff, man, it's getting bleak out there for Debo Samuel. He's a tough guy to trust week in and week out all of a sudden. I wouldn't start Christian Watson over him, though. I still feel like you got to go McScoren and Debo over Christian Watson. Lazard or Mooney, I'd go Mooney over Lazard. He's playing the Falcons. Lazard has a good matchup against the Titans, but the Falcons are a better matchup for the Bears this week. Is Aaron Jones going to get a good week? Yeah, he likely will. You definitely have to start Aaron Jones. It's not a great matchup for Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones coming off one of his best games, third best game of the season. He had 24 carries, though. That was his most carries of the season. He also had his second or third highest snap share of the season. This offense really is running through Aaron Jones. He had 156 yards, which was his third most of the season. You got to start Aaron Jones. Yeah, you got to expect a big game out of Aaron Jones every single game with that workload. Hey, Sam, should I put Kadarius Toney, DJ Moore, or Christian Watson at the flex? I'd go Kadarius Toney, man. Again, I feel really good about Kadarius Toney with Mecole Hardman out. Please, Debo, trade or acquire. I would trade away Debo. I would not be acquiring Debo right now, even though his value is as low as it's been. There's a reason for that, man. He has not been consistent. He doesn't have 10 touches or 10 targets in a game this season. He does not have that same level of ceiling with CMC in the mix, with Ayuk very involved. Ayuk has out-targeted him in each of the last 2 games. There might be a case that Ayuk is the number 1 receiver all of a sudden in that offense, and they're just using him less in the backfield now too. So I'm pretty out on Debo at this point. Though the thing with Debo, and I definitely think Debo, I still prefer Debo over Ayuk. We obviously know the talent is there with Debo, similar with George Kittle, but even more so. We know even if Debo gets 5 catches, he could rip off 100 yards and a touchdown really easily with what he does after the catch. This is just the floor and ceiling are lowered with the limited volume for Debo Samuel this season. Hey, Sam, I need one for flex with Kupp out. Garrett Wilson or Cordero Patterson or Miles Sanders. Another question, Rondale Moore or Tyler Boyd. I would go Tyler Boyd over Rondale Moore, and I would go Miles Sanders over Cordero Patterson and over Garrett Wilson It's really rare for the Patriots to get beat the same way twice. Garrett Wilson torched the Patriots just a couple of weeks ago. Pat's coming off the bye this week. I'm a little nervous for Garrett Wilson. I actually wouldn't be shocked if Elijah Moore out-receives Garrett Wilson this week. I know everyone's really down on Elijah Moore, but I do think him playing in the slot will help out. I would play Darrell Henderson over Kyron Williams. I think that's the last comment up on the YouTube Live. Help Sam pick 2. Thank you for the gifts, by the way. Juju, Lazard, Tony, Mike Will, Ben Skowronek. Yeah, you got to go Tony. Juju's likely not going to play. I would go Lazard and Tony. Again, I'm starting Allen Lazard and Christian Watson over Keenan Allen and Mike Williams because we don't know for sure Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are going to play. How worrying is Eno Benjamin to Dameon Pierce? I don't think he's that worried. Like, just a mild amount of worry. It's definitely possible. Carves out like a third down roll or something, and they take Dameon Pierce off the field on third downs. That's definitely possible, but I don't think it would be much more than that. For Eno Benjamin, do I trade Burks for Pirine when I have Mixon? Colton, man, CB Fishing, how we doing? I don't think I'd do this. I don't really love the whole handcuffing thing in fantasy when the handcuffs are bad. Pirine's bad. Like, even if Mixon gets hurt, Pirine's not going to get, like, all of a sudden this crazy workload. Chris Evans honestly could out-touch him pretty easily in the event that Joe Mixon goes down. And Treylon Burks has a ceiling. Treylon Burks does have a ceiling. A much higher ceiling than Samaje Perine, that's for sure. So I would hold on to Treylon Burks. I still don't fully trust Treylon Burks tonight. His over-under is only 34.5 receiving yards. Tough to trust a guy in fantasy that has such a low prop line. But I do think he has a really exciting ceiling and is pretty clearly the highest upside guy in his own offense at the receiver position. Watson, Tony, or Olave, I'd rank these guys in reverse order, Marco. First, you got to start with Chris Olave. Forever and always, we're starting Chris Olave, guys. If you haven't caught on to the Chris Olave stuff by now, I don't know what you're waiting for. He's second in the NFL in air yards. He's coming off his worst 3-game stretch of the season, so maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit more Chris Olave comments. Tonight, he's had his worst 3-game stretch of the season, under 75 yards in 3 straight games. He didn't do that in any other 3-game stretch this year, but Chris Olave is still seeing elite volume, top 10 in targets this season. He's number 2 in air yards this season. He has the number 2 most deep targets per game this season. His target share is top 20 in the NFL. Everything bodes really well for Chris Olave. He's sort of matchup proof with that volume too. But I like Kadarius Toney a lot this week as well. I do like Christian Watson, but not as much as Kadarius Toney and Chris Olave. Do I start Wilson this week? Which Wilson, Karina, which Wilson we talk about here? We got Russell Wilson. We got Jeff Wilson. We got Garrett Wilson. There's got to be more Wilsons than that too. There's a lot of Wilsons. There might even be a Wilson playing tonight that I didn't mention. Jacoby Myers or Lazard. You got to go Jacoby Myers, man. Never bench Jacoby either. Watson or Lazard, though. Yeah, I'm going Watson over Lazard. I'm playing Watson over Lazard. That is slightly a bold take because the player prop line for Lazard is higher than the player prop line for Watson. But I do like Christian Watson a little bit more. I also just think his ceiling is higher. Maybe the floor is higher for Lazard, but the ceiling is higher to me for Christian Watson. Do I start Wilson? Yeah, again, Karina, I need the first and last name here with the Wilson. There's a lot of Wilsons. Very common last name. What's the prop and the spread? So I am taking the Packers against the spread. I think it was 3.5 last time I saw it. I have seen some lines out there that said 3. Obviously, you can find 3. I like 3 much more than 3.5. It's a pretty key number in the NFL. The player prop I like the most tonight is Treylon Burks over 34.5 receiving yards. I just feel like that's too low for a guy that could easily break that in a single play. I also like Christian Watson's line too at 43.5. Those are the 2 lines I'd be looking at. I don't think I'd touch any of the other lines except maybe the Aaron Rodgers passing line. Again, I do like the passing attack for the Packers in this game. They looked great against the Cowboys. The Cowboys secondary is much better than the Titans secondary. The Titans have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers this season. This is a top 3 matchup for this passing attack that you could possibly find. I do really like the matchup of Garrett Wilson. All right, I'll get to that, Karina. Pacheco, Dillon, or Brian Robinson. Yeah, I'd go Pacheco. I'd go Pacheco over Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson has the best matchup for running backs against the Texans. But, man, Pacheco's got the 2nd best matchup right behind him against the Chargers. I would definitely play both those guys over Dillon, though. Garrett Wilson. Karina wants to know if we should start Garrett Wilson this week. I don't love him as much this week. There's 2 sides to every start sit, though, Karina. We got to decide who you're starting him over. But he definitely can be started. He did go over 100 yards last time he played the Pats just a couple weeks ago. I just think that it is relatively uncommon for a team to beat the Patriots the same way twice. And I know the Jets didn't beat the Pats but they did successfully involve Garrett Wilson in that game against the Pats. He had 115 yards. He had 92 yards the next week against the Bills. So yeah, he definitely is startable. Sam, Christian Watson or Jacoby? I'm going Jacoby Myers over Christian Watson, 1,000%. Watson or Pollard? Apps is Pollard. Yeah, Jordan, you got to go Pollard, I think, over Christian Watson. We are expecting Ezekiel Elliott back this week, and the app is factoring that in. And still, Pollard bodes pretty well with how efficient that he's been, even at half the touches in that backfield for Pollard is pretty good. It has a pretty good chance at a touchdown, pretty good chance at some decent yardage. He gets the Vikings this season. The Vikings have been pretty good against running backs, I believe. Their secondary has been much worse than their run defense. Let me pull that up, though, just to be sure here. Yeah, they've been third best against running backs this season. Honestly, Christian Watson might have a higher ceiling than Pollard. He might have a higher ceiling than Pollard, in my opinion, if Zeke is back. And I am assuming Zeke is back, and we won't know that, obviously, with the game tonight for Watson. But yeah, I would go Pollard. I think Pollard's the safer play. Jordan, if you're really feeling Watson, though, I wouldn't be the one to stop you. I am excited about Christian Watson in this game. It is a much better matchup for Christian Watson than Tony Pollard, but I can almost guarantee you that Tony Pollard touches the ball more than Christian Watson, which is why I'm saying he's a much safer play. In a bye week crunch, PPR, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Warren, A.J. Dillon, Gus the Bus, need the upside. Oh, I mean, there's not so much upside in this list, Nick. I'm not going to lie. A.J. Dillon definitely isn't going to give you that upside tonight. Jalen Warren, he's not going to give you the upside this week either, and neither is Gus the Bus. Eli Mitchell, low-key, might have the most upside. Let me see again who the 49ers get this week. Yeah, they're getting the Cardinals. They have been okay against running backs, not great. I'm not fully buying this 50-50 split between CMC and Elijah Mitchell, but I think I would play Elijah Mitchell over all these guys. And Elijah Mitchell at least has, I guess, the upside of breaking big plays that I don't think any of those other guys really truly possess, like him. Hi, Sam, again. Njoku or Dolchich at tight end. Yeah, we don't know Njoku's going to play, so you got to go Dolch over Njoku. Watson or Lazard. I'm going Watson over Lazard. I am taking Watson over Lazard, but I'm taking Kadarius Toney over all three of them. I would be really, really careful to bench Kadarius Toney this week, guys. A.J. Dillon doing nothing like always. Brutal. A.J. Dillon has been doing just a modest amount, like always. Let's not act like he's done nothing. I mean, he has failed to go over 10 points every single week since week 1. So, I mean, you could consider that nothing from a fantasy perspective, but he has been involved in every game. Gallup, London, Burks, Van Jefferson, start 2 here for Colton in the YouTube live. Definitely, this is a deep league here. You got to wonder when it's going to come for Michael Gallup, and it is a good matchup against the Vikings this week for Michael Gallup. Honestly, I think I would go with Gallup and Burks. I have a feeling the WalterPicks app might tell you literally the exact opposite thing here. But all 4 of these guys, let's be real, Colton, they all have a really low floor. I think Gallup and Burks offer you the highest ceiling personally, but all 4, this is a really tough one, honestly, Colton. I think all of these guys are outside like the top 30, top 40 maybe. Burks or Gallup PPR. Yeah, I'd go Gallup over Burks, though. I do think Gallup's ceiling is a little higher than Burks. Sam the man, how we doing? Need to flex 1. Cooks, Nico Collins, Slayton, McKinnon, Gus Bus, Burks, or Najee. Full PPR. Oh, God, I do sort of feel like you got to go Najee. I'm not at the point where I'm playing Slayton or McKinnon over Najee. I know that Wan'Dale Robinson, he might not play this week all of a sudden. He is questionable now. I actually didn't see the exact injury for Wan'Dale. Let me pull this up really quickly. But I did see a report that his status is very much uncertain. Yeah, hamstring for Wan'Dale, will not practice Thursday. So, I mean, that is good news for Darius Slayton, but I still think you kind of have to play Najee in this one with how many touches he's going to get compared to the rest of these guys. Start Gibson or Patterson. I'd go Gibson over Patterson. Really good matchup for Gibson and Brian Robinson this week. B-Rob or Connor. I'd go Connor over B-Rob, though, I think. With the workload James Conner saw last week, James Conner's a must start. Like, you got to start James Conner. Even in a relatively tough matchup against the 49ers, guys, James Conner played 95% of the snaps last week. I think that was the highest rate among all running backs. 95% of the snaps for James Conner. That's what you want for your fantasy players. You just want them out there all the time, especially at the running back position. Christian Watson over Debo. I think that's taking it a little bit too far. Why so many Packers to start? Well, the Titans secondary has not been good this season. You got to start Aaron Jones. But you also, I think, have to really strongly consider Allen Lazard and Christian Watson. The Titans have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to wide receivers this season. They've allowed the third most yards per game to wide receivers this season as well. Sorry, the fourth most yards per game to receivers, the third most fantasy points, but the fourth most yards to receivers. Their secondary is not good. And we just saw Aaron Rodgers look maybe the best he's looked all season. He only threw the ball 20 times in the last game. But yeah, I think at least one of Christian Watson and Alan Lazard has a very good game tonight. Hey, Sam, bench one. I wanted to get that Cooper Kupp question. I will get back to that in a second. Full point PPR, 5.100-yard bonus. That's a really big 100-yard bonus. Amari Cooper, Christian Watson, Juju. Yeah, you got to go Amari. You only need to bench one of these guys. Juju's not going to play, I don't think. So yeah, you're benching Juju. I don't think Juju's going to play. Let me get back to this Cooper Kupp question because I do think this is a good one. I did want to address that on this stream. I think the biggest injury of the season was that Cooper Kupp injury. It's just impossible to replace Cooper Kupp. You can't replace Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is having maybe one of the best, maybe the best. Like he's up there in terms of the year and a half of production that Cooper Kupp has had is one of the best year and a halves we've ever seen from a wide receiver ever. So like for all the people with Cooper Kupp out there, like a lot of people are like, what should I do? I had Cooper Kupp. Like really just go cry in the shower. Like you can't replace Cooper Kupp in real football or in fantasy football. You're not going to find a Cooper Kupp replacement. So you just got to eat the L. Like obviously injuries suck. They're the worst part of sports, one of the worst parts of fantasy. And it is what it is with the Cooper Kupp stuff at this point. But yeah, who receives the biggest boost on the Rams with Cooper Kupp out? That is a really important question. I personally think it's Tyler Higbee. I think Tyler Higbee is going to benefit a lot from this Cooper Kupp injury. I think he's going to operate over the middle of the field pretty primarily for the Rams. I'm excited for Tyler Higbee rest of the season now. I'm not fully bought in on Allen Robinson. And honestly, I don't know how you could be. He hasn't separated this entire season. I'm really not convinced more defensive attention is going to be great news for Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has only one game over 55 yards this entire season, and he's been out there every snap. It's not like Allen Robinson's snap share is all of a sudden going to increase, though. Cooper Kupp was averaging 11 targets per game. So, like, where are those targets going? I think mostly to Tyler Higbee, and then I think spread around to Skowronek, Van Jefferson, and Allen Robinson. Like, I would be pretty surprised if A-Rob all of a sudden is seeing like 10 targets a game. I'm not envisioning that. It certainly is possible that he benefits, but realistically, I think the two biggest beneficiaries of the Cooper Kupp injury, Tyler Higbee and Ben Skowronek. And I don't even think that means Skowronek is necessarily a must add or must start in fantasy. I just think he's the biggest benefactor because otherwise he's mostly on the bench. Now he's going to be playing, I think, pretty consistently for the Rams. And I don't think that has a huge fantasy impact. I'm not trusting Skowronek for my fantasy teams, but I am trusting Higbee. Pacheco or Gus Edwards, I'd go Pacheco for sure over Gus Edwards. Watson or Rondale. I do like Watson more than Rondale. I know Rondale's been really good very recently. Let me pull up Rondale really quickly before I lock that answer in because I know Rondale's been balling over his last few games. Rondale Moore. Back-to-back games, over 65 yards. 3 straight games, actually, over 65 yards for Rondale Moore. He played 95% of the snaps last week against the Rams. Yeah, but this week he gets the 49ers. The 49ers have been very good, I believe. Let me pull this up. Again, I don't want to lock this answer in quite yet because I know Rondale's been balling. Yeah, the 49ers have actually been much worse against receivers than every other position this season. I'd say I'm hesitant to say for sure Rondale over. I'm hesitant to say for sure Christian Watson over Rondale. I do still think Christian Watson has a higher ceiling than Rondale. We know Christian Watson has a better matchup than Rondale against the Titans too. So I am okay starting Christian Watson, but Rondale's for sure the safer play. He's for sure the safer play. I have JT, Saquon, Mondre, Pacheco, Rashad White, Monty, and Gus. CD's my wide receiver 1, DK my wide receiver 2. Yeah, I like the trade. Yeah, definitely like that trade. Burks or Najee, I'd go Najee over Burks. Trade Hopkins, Swift for Olave, Higgins, and Elliott. Yes, I would definitely do that one. Thursday night football question. Pick one, Christian Watson, Pittman, Jacoby, PPR. I would go, I think Pittman, then Jacoby, then Christian Watson. I definitely feel like Pittman and Jacoby are significantly better options than Christian Watson. Ryan, man, who do I like to win tonight? Yeah, let me talk about this game really quickly. Then I'll get back to some of the start-sit questions in the comments. As a reminder, though, guys, I've spent the last 3 years of my life building an app that helps you all make your start-sit questions, or help you all answer your own start-sit questions. That's the WalterPicks app. Link is in the TikTok bio. Link is in the YouTube description. It's completely free to do as many start-sit comparisons as you want. Sammy, last one. Devontae, Jamal, and Hooper playing tonight for Kirk and Kamara. I can accept during game. I can't accept during game. Yeah, I would probably prefer the Kirk and Kamar side there. If you're getting Kirk and Kamar, I think I'd prefer that side. So let me talk a little bit, again, just what I expect in this game and some of the trends going into this game. So first of all, I'm taking the Packers in the game. They're at home. They're coming off their biggest win of the season. And I do think this is a very beatable defense. The Titans' front seven is good, but their secondary has been really bad. That's not necessarily a great thing for the Packers. The Packers do want to be a run-first team. They only threw the ball 20 times last game against the Cowboys. I don't think that's going to be a winning formula against this Tennessee Titans defense. So I think if the Packers really embrace the pass, they will win this game. If they stick really run heavy, I don't think that's going to go super well for them. But I do like the Packers in this game. Derrick Henry, though, is definitely a big concern on the other end of on the other side of the ball. Derrick Henry, his over-under tonight, 103.5 rushing yards, and we've all seen it so many times. It gets cold out, guys. It's going to feel like 15 degrees in Green Bay tonight, and we get Derrick Henry running down a run funnel Packers defense that has really struggled against the run. Lots of injuries to the Packers front seven, and they're really good against the pass. So even more reason for the Titans just to continue handing the ball to Derrick Henry 25 plus times a game. So yeah, I do expect the Packers to win. I could definitely see like a historic type Derrick Henry performance where he goes over 150 yards and sort of just puts the team completely on his back. I could easily see 25 plus carries for Derrick Henry tonight. But yeah, I'm still taking the Packers in this game. I still think that the Packers have a better team overall than the Titans, and that they have a better, much better passing attack. And this is the thing for the Titans in this game, is as good of a spot this is for Derrick Henry, what happens when they're down multiple scores? Do they have the passing attack against this Packers secondary to come back? And I really don't think they do. I am kind of excited for Treylon Burks tonight. I think he hopefully will play more than he did last week. And he looked okay last week. He did have 6 targets last week, but he's really the only only receiver of consequence in my mind for the Titans. Sam, this is urgent. Please pick 2, Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen. Is Campbell or Rondale Moore? Paris Campbell or Rondale Moore. I'm seeing the typos here now. Then this makes more sense. Yeah, I would go Deontay Johnson and Rondale Moore. I would bench Paris Campbell. I would bench Keenan Allen. We don't know for sure Keenan Allen's playing. We cannot have full confidence in Keenan Allen playing. Christian Watson, Keenan Allen, Van Jefferson, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Drake London. Yeah, I'm playing Christian Watson here for sure. And then I'm playing Pittman, and I'm playing Gabe Davis. I'm playing Christian Watson, Pittman, Gabe Davis. Again, you can't hold out hope for Keenan or Mike Williams if you have Christian Watson or if you have Allen Lazard. We got another here comment in the TikTok live. Hey, Walter, please pick 2. PPR, Lazard, Sutton, and Cooper. Yeah, I would bench Lazard in that situation. And classic mistake, man. Don't worry about it. My name's actually Sam. My name is not Walter. Classic mistake. Walter's the AI algorithm that I helped build that powers the WalterPicks app, which is a free app that you can go download in the iOS and Android app store. Link to that is in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description, if you're watching live on YouTube. Classic mistake, though, man. Do not worry about it. All right, we got like 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left in this live. Urgent Thursday. Start 1 flex PPR, Landry, Elijah Mitchell, or Burks. This one's urgent, Emilio. And I got to admit, I mentioned this earlier in the comment earlier. I don't feel great about Elijah Mitchell still. Like I'm not fully bought into the CMC just splitting carries down the middle with Eli, even though we literally just saw it last game. It's tough for me to see that in a very competitive game. But I do think on the flip side of that, it's very possible with how good Elijah Mitchell plays that he does have a reasonable role. I think he's the safest bet here over Landry and Burks. I would go Elijah Mitchell. I'm just not fully bought in. There's definitely some risk there still. Sam, Watson or A-Rob? I'm going Watson over A-Rob. I'm completely done with A-Rob. I can't trust him in my starting lineup, even with Cooper Kupp out. DraftKings lineup tonight. Do not have DraftKings lineup tonight for you, Ryan, but I will tell you, I'd be playing Christian Watson and or Allen Lazard in every lineup, and I think I'd go with Aaron Rodgers as the captain. Derrick Henry is going to be the most common captain, I think. Tonight, I do like Rodgers as the captain. Again, I like Rodgers against the secondary a decent amount. The secondary has allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers, the 4th most yards per game passing. I mean, that's pretty strong for Aaron Rodgers. Urgent Thursday. Sorry, not passing. The 4th most yards per game to wide receivers specifically. Urgent Thursday. Question: Christian Watson, DJ Moore as my wide receivers. Debo as flex with Najee and Taylor as RBs. Got Swift, Jamal, Juju, James, Tony, Pacheco on bench. Yeah, I would move Najee out. I would put Pacheco in. I would definitely play Pacheco over Najee Harris. And then for Debo, I'd take Debo out. I don't actually know with these receivers you have otherwise. I do want to play Kadarius Toney over Christian Watson. I think I would sub out Christian Watson and put Kadarius Toney in. I do like Kadarius Toney more than Christian Watson as much as I like Watson. We're not playing Watson over St. Brown. I would play Watson over Lazard personally, but it's close. And this is what this is really the thought process you got to go through if you're deciding between Christian Watson and Allen Lazard. It's not an easy choice. Their player prop lines are only 5 yards apart. Allen Lazard his line is 48.5, and Christian Watson's line is 43.5. 5 yards apart is sort of their projection. That's their median projection, though. I think the ceiling is much higher for Christian Watson. He possesses athleticism and breakaway speed that Allen Lazard does not possess. So I think his ceiling is higher. That's why I would go Christian Watson. But the floor is definitely a little higher for Allen Lazard. So if you want to play it safe, you go Allen Lazard. If you want to shoot for a really exciting Thursday night, I think you go with Christian Watson. And it's not like Allen Lazard doesn't have a ceiling too. I just think Christian Watson's is higher. Urgent Thursday night football question from Ravi here in the YouTube live. Again, I'm going to get to as many comments as I can. But if I don't, go to the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store and go to the Start Sit tool and just tap on any two players you want. And you're going to see their projected points and their boom and bust probability and their matchup rating. And it's going to be custom to your league scoring settings. Again, that's the WalterPicks app in the iOS and Android app store, in the TikTok bio, in the YouTube description. If I can't get to your comment, that's the best place to go. Pacheco, Pickens, or Christian Watson, happy PR. Also, I'm playing Jones and Lazard. Thoughts on them? I like Jones and Lazard in this game, so I'm a little nervous for you about that one. But I don't know if you're playing against him or playing them. That's a little unclear. But I do like both of them in this game. I do like Pacheco more than Christian Watson and more than George Pickens, though. I really feel like you got to start Isaiah Pacheco. He's coming off 16 carries, and he gets the Chargers, the second best possible matchup, only after the Texans for running backs. Yo, what's up, bro? Happy Thursday. Ken, what's going on, man? Happy Thursday. Love this comment. Not even a question, man. Just some straight positivity from Ken in the YouTube live. We need more of that, man. We need more of that. Ken, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Sam, I'm desperate. Randall Cobb or DeAndre Carter, happy PR. WP app still has Cobb out. Ooh, wow, that's not good. Wait, let me double check that. I don't think that's the case, but let me double check. Actually, I think that maybe it is because he was just ruled back in today. Let me pull this up. No, he's in there. Yeah, I think if you close and open your app, he should be in. This one's close. I would personally go DeAndre Carter though. Still, Andrew, I would go DeAndre Carter. I do not feel good about Randall Cobb. I have the app, but I still like asking you in person. Thank you, man. LOL. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for that. I do appreciate you. And I don't think that's the case for most people, honestly. Najee or Brian Robinson, PPR. Thank you, sir. I would go Brian Robinson over Najee, man. It feels weird. It feels weird benching Najee for some of these players, but at this point, Najee has shown us for 10 weeks now, he does not have a ceiling. Like, he has a floor. He's getting the ball a lot. Definitely not as much as he got last year, but he has a floor. He's getting the ball enough to have a floor, but the ceiling is just not there. He's not going to have multiple touchdown games. He has 3 touchdowns this season. He has 0 games over 100 yards. Like, there's just no ceiling. He doesn't make big plays. He had 1 big play this whole season, basically. So, like, I personally would go Brian Robinson over Najee. I'd go Isaiah Pacheco over Najee. I'd go Kadarius Toney over Najee. I think you could consider Christian Watson over Najee Harris, but I think that's sort of the line I would draw. Thank you, King. Got you, man. Pacheco or Patterson. I'd go Pacheco over Patterson for sure. Again, my thoughts on this game really quickly at a high level. I am taking the Packers in this game. I do like the Packers. And the main reason I like the Packers is because this is a good matchup for Aaron Rodgers in the passing attack. The Titans have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers, the 4th most yards per game to receivers this season. I think the formula for the Packers to lose this game is to continue to run the ball too much. If they run the ball a lot in this game, they only threw the ball 20 times last game. I know Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, very, very talented runners, but not against this defense, man. This defense is very, very good against the run, very, very bad against the pass. Hopefully the Packers recognize that. That is why I'm taking the Packers, though. This game also is in Green Bay, but it also is only 15 degrees out. We got the first cold game for Derrick Henry, so I'm a little nervous about that. Don't feel super strongly about taking the Packers against the spread, but I do still think the Packers win the game. I feel kind of strongly about that, and I do like Christian Watson tonight and his ceiling. I think he could build off what he did last week, and the reason I'm bullish on Christian Watson isn't because he scored 3 touchdowns last game. It's because he played 85% of the snaps last game, by far his highest rate of the season. And I think he's going to build on that today. He's going to play at least 85% of the snaps again today. And he also ran the highest percentage of routes that he's run in a game. He was the most involved he's been. That's why I'm excited about Christian Watson. What's up, Sam? Hope you had a great week. Thanks, man. I'm 3-7, so I made a trade JT and Ayuk for D-Hop and Zeke. I got Evans on bench, hoping for a run. Hope my Titans win too. I'm rooting for you, Kylo. I am. Appreciate you tuning into the live. Love the app, but need help, Sam. Got Kittle and Pitts. Drop Pitts to pick up Pacheco. My running backs are CMC, Stevenson, Walker, and Swift. Yeah, that's a really interesting one here, man, because you got to start Kittle over Pitts for sure this week. Kittle gets an amazing matchup against the Cardinals. They've been dead last against tight ends. I'm talking 0 tight ends have been stopped by the Arizona Cardinals this season, 0. So you're certainly starting Kittle this week, and you could definitely make a case to start Kittle period over Pitts forever rest of season. I do think Pacheco should be rostered, but you're not going to start him over CMC, Stevenson, or Walker. So I don't know. I'm a little torn, honestly. I think it's a fine move though. I'm not going to tell you not to do it because I don't think. I think I would rather Pacheco than Pitts just on my roster in general. Sam, pick 2, full PPR: Gabe Davis, Christian Watson, Rondale Moore, Gabe Davis, Terry McLaurin. I think we got 2 Gabe Davises in there. So I don't think you can start Gabe Davis twice, but I do think I would go Terry McLaurin for sure in this one. Then I think I would go. I think I would go Gabe Davis as well. I think I'd go McLaurin and Gabe over Christian Watson and Rondale. It's tough for me to talk myself into Christian Watson over Gabe Davis because the whole reason I like Christian Watson is the ceiling, and we know Gabe Davis has a really high ceiling. Should I trade CMC? Nope. I wouldn't trade CMC. I would not sell. This is like the lowest his value probably has been all season with their last game, even though he did fine. Would you trade Kamara for Singletary and Metcalf? Nope, I would not do that. Josh Allen or Justin Fields? I mean, this is the questions we need to be asking. I'm still playing Josh Allen over Justin Fields. It's a good matchup for Fields, though, man. Against the Falcons, I think he's going to keep cooking. I don't know how you could possibly expect him to stop cooking with another fantastic matchup. Pierce, Jamal Williams, or Tony at flex? Honestly, if this is a PPR league, I'm okay going Tony, but the answer here is Pierce. You got to play Pierce over Jamal and over Tony. But if it's a PPR league, I do think you can strongly consider Tony, especially with McCole Hardman for sure out. I really like Kadarius Toney this week. Christian Watson or DJ Moore? Let me pull up the matchup one more time for DJ Moore. Before I answer this one, yeah, they get the Ravens. You got to go DJ Moore, man. You got to go DJ Moore for Christian Watson. Been following you and using the app since day one, Sam. Alex, seriously, man, I really appreciate you. Love the content. Thanks, man. Christian Watson or Allen Robinson? Yeah, again, I'm going Watson over at A-Rob. For sure, A-Rob projects better than Allen Robinson. Like his over-under prop line will almost definitely be above 43.5, which is where Christian Watson's line is at tonight. But I'm not excited for Allen Robinson despite the Cooper Kupp injury. I'm trying to actively sell Allen Robinson everywhere I can. I actually did successfully sell A-Rob, basically straight up for I think I packaged him with Jerick McKinnon in one of my leagues for Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen hasn't played all season. But I want nothing to do with A-Rob still, and this is like the last gasp of hope I think he has for value in fantasy. He's not. I just, even if he gets a few more targets a game, he's not separating very much. I think really the main benefactors of the Cooper Kupp injury are going to be Tyler Higbee and Ben Skowronek, and I'm not starting Ben Skowronek in fantasy either. And the Rams' offensive line and offense has just been so bad. It's hard to trust anyone other than Cooper Kupp in that offense. I would play Christian Watson, over him. And again, the matchup for Christian Watson, very good tonight. The Titans have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers. Christian Watson played a season-high snap percentage, ran the most routes he's ran on a percentage basis last week. It was the most involved Christian Watson's been. So that's why we're starting Christian Watson. It's not because he scored 3 touchdowns last week. We're not scared. We're not chasing the touchdowns. We're chasing the usage for Christian Watson. Should I trade Juwan Johnson or Robert Tonyan PPR? Or should I start Juwan Johnson and Tonyan? I was about to say no. I mean, yes, you should trade them, but good luck. I would start Tonyan, I think, over Juwan Johnson. Oh God, I just got the notification that Hopkins, who he just traded for, has a hamstring injury. All of a sudden, I actually didn't see that report yet. Apparently, you just got the notification though, so maybe I'll see it very, very soon. Yeah, I didn't see that DeAndre Hopkins stuff, but I don't think that means your season is over. Hey, Sam, if Juju and McCole are out, should I start Pacheco or Tony? McCole is out. And Juju's likely going to be out too. I don't know if you saw the hit or not, but it was bad. And I think he will miss this week. And he hasn't practiced yet. Even if Juju practices tomorrow, he still might not clear the concussion protocol in time. So I'm pretty confident to say he won't play, but it's not a for sure thing Juju won't play. It is a for sure thing McCole Hardman's not going to play, though. He's on the IR. He's missing the next 4 games. Pacheco versus Tony. That's close. I honestly feel like I lean towards Pacheco because I generally lean towards the running backs over the receivers because the floor is usually much better, and it's a really good matchup for the running back against the Chargers. So I do want to lean towards Pacheco, but I want both, man. I want to start both Pacheco and Tony. That put them both in my guys I refuse to bench video this week. Not a Thursday night football question. Wow, thanks, Joel, for calling that out. Kamara, Foreman, Pierce, and I'm sure I'll adjust this, Joel, on the Sunday morning live as well. But yeah, I'm benching Foreman here. I'm benching Foreman. Pick 2 full PPR: Watson, Debo, Palmer, Sutton. Thanks. You got to go Debo and Sutton still. I get considering Christian Watson over Debo Samuel. I can't get myself to do that though. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't play Christian Watson over Debo Samuel. Christian Watson has still only had one big game. I still want to see a little more from him before we're starting him over bona fide elite talents like Debo Samuel. Even though the volume hasn't been there for Debo, he could easily out target Christian Watson still. And you're telling me you got 6 targets for Debo and 6 targets for Christian Watson? I mean, I'm taking Debo every single time. Yeah, and I really like Sutton this week. I think you have to start Sutton. Foreman or Swift? I thought it was going to be last week that Swift, who was off the injury report before the game. He was not on the final injury report. That's DeAndre Swift. I thought he was going to take over the backfield last week. Didn't happen. He's now practicing in full. Like, he is healthy, but they seem to still be scared that he won't stay healthy. Tough spot for DeAndre Swift to be for fantasy. I don't think he's a must start. I think I'd probably bench Swift in that situation. Mark Andrews or George Kittle. Yeah, if Andrews plays, you got to go Mark Andrews. Start Lazard over Sutton, Boyd, or Juju. Yes, over Juju. Again, I don't think Juju's going to play. Weatherman Sam. Weatherman Sam is here for you as always. I do have some weather report in this game. It's going to feel like 15 degrees outside. There's not going to be significant winds. There's a little bit of wind chill, but not significant winds that has me concerned. Really, the only takeaway I have from this weather is it's the first cold Derrick Henry game, and I wouldn't overrate that too much, but I wouldn't underrate that too much either, man. Derrick Henry is tough to tackle as is, and I do feel like the cold makes it just even tougher to bring Derrick Henry down. So I do like Derrick Henry a lot tonight, but I don't think the cold will affect much else in this game. Hey, Sam, Burks, Dolch, or Hollywood Brown, non-PPR. Yeah, I'm not sold that Hollywood Brown's playing this week. It feels like there's been some signal today that yeah, he's like limited in practice. He might be able to play this week. I'd be pretty shocked if Marquise Brown came back. I'm not gonna lie, this week. I would lean towards him not playing this week rather than him towards playing this week. He could have been very limited in practice still. So yeah, I'm personally I would play Burks here over Dolch and over Hollywood Brown. I don't like playing 2 tight ends. I feel like you could make a case for Dolch over Burks, but I'd rather play Burks who plays receiver than Dolch who plays tight end. I've been burned so bad, just like everybody else, with all the tight ends this season that aren't Travis Kelce. I can't get myself to start 2 of them. It's just like, don't put yourself through the pain, man. Even as good as Dolch just looks. Hey Sam, should I do this? I gave Gabe Davis, CP, and Lamar for AK, D-Hop, and Daniel Jones. I have Fields for QB. Yes, you don't need Lamar. 100%. Yeah, you need to accept this trade, Austin, instantly. I mean, this is a smash, amazing trade for you. You're getting by far the best 2 players in the trade, and you don't even need to start your best player you're giving up, which is Lamar. So yeah, this is, I mean, you're like, someone called the cops. This is just straight stealing, Austin. You definitely should accept that trade. Why bench Nick Westbrook-Akine? Yeah, so I know Nick Westbrook-Akine had by far the best game of his career last game. And one of those plays was a 60-yard flea flicker touchdown. So that was half his yards. And he did have 8 targets, which was the most I think he's had in his career in any game ever. Yeah, tied his career high. But I don't love him in this game still. I think he still plays behind Treylon Burks. He could easily get out-targeted by Robert Woods. And the Packers secondary has been good this season. All right, guys. That is my time. One last high level, my take on this game. I am taking the Packers in this game. I do think you need to obviously start Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, but I also really like the Packers passing attack in this matchup. Titans have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers. They've allowed the 4th most yards per game to wide receivers. That's why I'm liking Christian Watson tonight. Again, the Titans have allowed the 4th most yards per game to receivers, the 3rd most fantasy points per game to receivers. And the reason I'm heavy on Christian Watson, it's not because he scored 3 touchdowns. It's not because he scored 3 touchdowns last game. It's because his usage last game was the best it's by far been this season. It's by far the best it's been this season. 85% snap share. He ran the highest route percentage of the season. He was the most involved he's been this season. Chase the usage, not the touchdowns. I'm in on Christian Watson, and I'd like Allen Lazard in this matchup tonight too. A.J. Dillon doesn't possess much upside really at all. He scored 1 touchdown this season. So if he can't have a multiple touchdown game, he doesn't have any real upside. He's not catching enough passes for that to be the case. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. If you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you hit that follow button. I'll be live Sunday morning as well. Good luck tonight, guys, and have a great rest of your night.